third one quickly, which I think is a bit advanced. So is now, which I'm going to try to squeeze in the time to do that. So if you click on add, let's create this third one quickly. So which is basically parameterizing using tables. So we use tables there, but we use table with examples, but we don't want to use example. Instead of sending our parameter here like this, we want to be able to say, we want to combine these lines together, basically. I say enter password and email address. So that's what we can do. So we can say add new. So we want to say it's 7. Save it now. We want to say table. So let's quickly copy this one. So, and what we want to do is, let's say we don't need this one anyway. So we want to say given. Okay, so we just navigate to that site, and then so what we want to do, we want to enter email and password. We want to enter email and password. So, but we want to use table to be able to enter those email and passwords. So you will say email, what's the email, and what's the password. So now, what you need to do is, what's my email? So now, as you can see, that is a new step already, basically. So you need to generate that step. So, and I can create another step for it. So let's say I don't want to create a step. I can add them to this step, and I can decide to create another step so that this one is a different step. So let me just generate a new step, a new class basically for it. So I say okay. So I want to create that step in this. So, okay. So that's a new step. I'm still using the same page object. I can decide to use a different page object, but I don't think that is relevant at this time basically. So I don't want to. As you can see, like I said, now this is creating the table for me. Like I've mentioned in the slide, that it's going to create a table for you instant, basically. So then what you need to do are two things, basically. When you are creating your step, you would need to use the test assist, basically. You will need to use the test assist. You need to use the So first thing that you need to do, so you would so let's go quickly to our page object first. Let's create a new page object for this, basically. So I'll say add new So we want to create a new page object, and we can call this one data table page object. So in our data table page object, this is where we're going to be creating the what's it called? That step to be able to enter, let's say, word. Say we already have this step, so this is just another example. Let's say because someone asked the same question, so I'll just press that one there. So because I don't want to recreate that one again, so I've already done this before. So this is just showing that if you have to use two page objects, what do you need to do? So, but you won't need to be creating this if this is already being created in the other page object. Basically, let's assume this is a new page and we don't have this what's it called, object already created for us. Basically, because you wouldn't be, the point of having page objects is for you to have your object in one class, basically. So, and you won't be creating duplicating it, basically. So it's not the right approach. But this is basically just for training purpose. So now, what do I need to do? I need to now create a page object, I need to create a method. I can call the method enter. There are two ways to do this, right? I can use the same approach, enter email address, and password. So now from here, you can say what is the email address and what is the password. So, but like we've seen here, you will need to pass the data table. So let's go to our step. Let's have step basically. Okay, so with table. Okay, so in our step we would. So this data, the table is coming from our data. Then we remember our feature file. So like I said, you're going to be using desktop dot Specflow dot assist. Okay. So we need to convert that data table into an instance. So you would just say create instance, so which I've put into this point. So my let's just call it email and password. This is equal to table dot create instance. So I just need to create instance of that. So then, so I would need to create a class. So let's say I call the class let's say I call it details. Anything I call it anyway. So see. So you can I need to generate a class, no method, no properties, details. No. So this is no that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a class, and I'll call this class details. So what you call the class is what you pass in there. So that particular class should have the variables that you want to, this table already got. So this table is coming from our feature file. So if we get to our feature file, so this table 1, 2. So the class that you are going to be creating should have password and email. So let's go. So we create a class, right click, and we create a class now. So start class, add new item, or you can create a class directly like that. So let's say class, what's the name of the class? Let's say details is what we call it. So I should create that for you. So then as I've highlighted, so it's called the class created like that. So you're going to have the properties of that particular class. So public email. Date and select it. Yeah, don't even need to specify. Just to make it simple, to be honest, so you can just do that. Okay, so that is kind of simple. So then this is the class that we created. So if you go back into our step, so details, did you call it details? Yes. So let's save it. So now, so we got our class created. So we just need to use the using right now. So if you put our mouse on it, so it's not valid in the context. Our class is here. Sorry, that should be not. Yeah, so that should be that case actually. So okay, all right. So that is what we need to do. So that would actually get the email address and email for us basically. So, and when you now need to call your page object, So you call your page object and for the email and password. So let's go to our page object that we've created for that particular purpose. So when you're going to be entering, so you would say maybe string password. Let's say you're passing two parameters, string email, comma, and string password. So you would have two parameters basically. So now when you just call your, let's say, email address dot send keys. So what are you sending? I'm sending emails. The same way, password dot send keys. What are you sending? Password. So as you can see that we pass two parameters here. So the two parameters that we pass is email address and password basically. So then when we call this particular, so we need to call this data table page object. I've actually shown you how to do that from the previous one that we did. Yeah, it's the same way actually that we're going to do the same thing. So to call the page object, we do the same thing like this basically, and we call our we do the constructor the same way basically. So we're going to do the same thing. So let's say from here, the page object we are using is this page object. So we get new instance of it. We get new instance of the page object. This is because we declare it actually. We declare the page object, and so then we bring it the namespace. Then we create the constructor of this particular class. So the constructor will be public. And then you instantiate the page object. Once you've done that, you can then call that page object anywhere in your class. So this is now the instance of that page object. So we're going to call that page object here in our step dot. So, and you can see the method that we created is already here. Now we know this method is accepting two parameters now. So this is where it becomes a bit tricky. Where is our parameters coming from? Our parameters is coming from these variables. And we know these variables is taking these details in there, and these details has got an email address and password. So when we say email and password, you can pass that parameters to dot email, comma, dot password. So by this takes two parameters. To make it simple, just simpler, I can do something like this. I can say, let me declare a string and say email is equal to this one. And then password is this. So So rather than, yeah, I can just, instead of this, I know my email is this, and then I can pass the password. Because I've already stored what comes in the objects into this. So my email is coming from here, my password is coming from, then I can call that method and I can pass my email and my password directly into that. So but my email and password is coming from the table basically. So that's what I've done. So then when I call this page object, the method in my page object, I'll be passing those two parameters directly into it basically. So let's try to check that and see if that works. So then that will be us. So this is the other one. This is with the so sorry, with table. So now we can actually see the difference in this step in the test explorer. So I'm looking for the one with tables. Okay, that is this one. So now I'm going to put breakpoints here to see how that is created. So okay. So if you have any questions, you can send it right now. Okay, so now if I press F11, it goes into my page objects. So I just go quickly over that. So now, okay, now that's 6. So now, if you look into that, if you put your mouse over it in debug mode, you would have this. Basically, you can see email is equal to that, password is equal to that. So it's actually create that for us. So, and if you go into that, it's going to say you can put your mouse on it. So that's the email that's created. And then the password is that one, my password. You can see that both of them are coming from our page objects. So if you look into what the table's got email and password, and this is kind of what you sent into your table, basically, and that is become converted into data objects that you can actually use, basically email and password separated. So then I just created this just to make it simple, that before I use my email and password, I just store it in a string. Then here now I can call this method and I'm passing the email and password as a parameter. So, and that goes into that. So yeah, so this is actually, this is of no essence because, so this is saying there's no, okay, all right. This is saying that there is null or no instance of that object. So just need to see what that is. Okay, all right, cool. So I think the driver is null basically. So the driver is null because it's got no instance at all. So what if you look at the page object that we did before? So in there, right? In this instance, we got the page object here, basically. So another thing also is yeah. So is this one basically? This is what is missing basically. In there right now, in our page object, we have an instance of the page object in our constructor for that particular page. So which we did not do in this case. So in this case now, we also need to do the same thing. So I'm going to create a constructor of that data type. So click. So I'll create a constructor. So, and then I will call my driver is equal to hooks dot. So then bring the add dot driver, so that it doesn't say, because otherwise this driver has not got anything at all, because we've not actually assigned anything to it, and then it's going to be null basically. So that is what it's trying to complain about. So let's try to run it, and I will not debug, I will just run straight. Okay, all right. That's it basically. So, and let's try it. So any questions? So while I run, so did everything. So that's it for tonight. So if you have any question or any issues with the previous one that we've done, so you can raise a question right now. So we'll look into that together. So tonight we'll look into data driven using different types. So we'll look into how to use data driven using examples. We've used data driven using data tables, and we've used also using parameters in your feature files. So that will be it for tonight. So but then we'll look into different people that have got issues, then we'll be able to resolve it. Thank you. Okay, I think that's everything for now. So that's finished. So we got all this done. So I'll try to push this particular code into Git repository, and you can clone it from there. So I've got some questions here. So one question is, I don't know what you mean. This is one of my errors. What is the errors? Is it possible we use loop statements for data driven, e.g. where there is multiple URL? Yes. The answer is yes, you can use loops, but you need to know that why do you need to use loop. So if you are going to be using data driven for one, let's say for instance, if you are going to be using it in the table, yes, because this table you can have maybe 3 or 4, then you need to use loops to be able to loop around them, basically to be able to perform the operations. So for instance, I want to enter different data, and those data are stored in the table, so you would actually loop through them. But if they are different data sets, basically for different tests, so you don't need to use a loop at all. You just need to use the examples. So with the example, you don't need a loop basically. It would loop by itself and go through your step one after the other. So okay, so I'm getting this error, find invalid data while coding. So I don't know what you mean by that, Femi. I think you might need to look into if you can share your screen. So when you have written your method for the email in the previous page. Why did you use internal void not? Okay, so that is automatically generated for me, so I can as well just change it to public. So I think it's of relevance actually. So I think it's talking about when I use the page object. Okay, yeah. So this one was created automatically when I tried, because I didn't create this myself. Basically, I created the method. I tried to use the method, and it said the method is not available. So then it actually creates this for me automatically. It is internal within this particular class, so which is fine. But if you prefer, you can also change it to public, because that's still okay, basically. So yeah. So okay. Alright, cool. So I think that will be it for now. So anyone that wants to share the screen, so please do. So so that is where we're going to stop tonight. So what we've done tonight is data driving actually. So using Specflow. So we've been able to cover this actually. So alright. Assignment or project actually. So now assignment is now for you to go through what we've done, right? Create different features using different parameters. So create one for examples using, I think you can use the site that we've done, use this site using examples. Try to at least use like 3 examples with different data types to actually automate this particular site. Then also use data types, so as we've done here. So your data type, also try to see if you can use data type with more than 1 rows of data basically. Then after that, also try to do these steps. So basically this particular website right now, you can test it using the parameterization of all these particular fields. So you don't need to enter hard-coded the fields basically. So all the fields has to be parameterized. So that will be the assignment for this week basically. So I'm expecting 3 feature files, one with feature files that you've got parameterized data for all these particular parameters and the test data, and you also have examples that would have like 3 different examples that you pass the data. Then also you're going to be using data table. So that will be the assignment. So also make sure that you use more than 1 page objects, and also use more than 1 step definitions, because by that you'll be able to actually know how to call 1 page object from the other page object, or step definition from the page object. So ensure that you don't use 1 page object, use more than 1 page object for the purpose of it, and also more than 1 step definitions basically.